make contact.
All right. Hi, everybody. I guess we're back. I had our city council meeting. This is a special session. We are not going to do council comments tonight. Have a pretty tight agenda. Any public comment that we're going to have, please, if you're tuning in now and you're calling in, dial *9 if you're calling in. Otherwise, please signify to raise your hand. If we have any technical difficulties, then we'll have to, we have like Comcast going out, for example, and we have to discontinue the meeting. We'll either continue these items to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is a week from tonight on the 21st, or we will have a special meeting at the next available opportunity if we have action that we have to get to. So with that, Catherine, will you please do roll call?
Willman? Willman?
Charlie?
Yes, I couldn't find the unmute button. Sorry, I'm here.
Voorhees?
Here.
Kaup?
Here.
Godus?
Here.
Davis?
Still here.
Stepp?
Yes.
Hershey?
In spirit, if not present in person. Yes, I'm here.
All right, we will, I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Tony, thank you for the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next item, well, first item, I guess, on the agenda is Blue Star Recycling. Who's presenting this?
I think that's me.
Very nice, Matt.
I was going to go to participants and see if Bill or Sam are on. I don't know. Alyssa, did we send Sam and Bill the link for this week?
I did not.
Okay, that could be a problem.
Do we maybe want to just go ahead and talk about it anyway? And then if anyone's interested, we can invite them to the next one.
Well, I'd really like to have them there to present their program. And since we actually have a fairly light agenda next week, really light so far, let's keep it that way. I'm not complaining. Maybe we can just kick this to the next meeting and make sure they get an invite, because I would hate to have a meeting without the principals there.
I will apologize. I would have, since they got kicked from last week, I thought we would have invited them to this week, but I may have dropped the ball on that one. I can reach back out to them and get it worked out.
Okay, I would move that we continue this until our next meeting when we can have the representatives from Blue Star present.
Second.
Been moved by Shelley, seconded by, I think, Paula. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Well, that was easy.
Hey, we're ahead of the game already. Item number 5. This is continued from May 7th. Resolution 2020-9, a resolution of the City of Glenwood Springs amending Resolution 2018-61 and approving the amended West Glenwood Springs Urban Renewal Plan. Carl, I'm guessing.
Yes. Yeah, I'm unmuted. So a couple of things. This is big picture for this and the next item. Obviously, we were working with Ross and the then purchaser of the mall Centerpoint development on some revisions to the URA plan to resolve the litigation with Ross that is ongoing over the formation of the URA, as well as moving forward on what we had hoped would be that redevelopment project. The contract between Centerpoint and Frank Woods at the mall did not go through. We're hopeful that there will be other opportunities coming down the pike, but not really ready to talk about any of those yet. However, because of the continuing litigation, in order to avoid moving forward with that, at this moment in time, just given everything, it's not really either cost effective or I think necessary The request of Ross was to remove the authority from the URA to condemn was kind of one of the settlement conditions. That's what they were asking for. And in exchange, they would dismiss the lawsuit and we would let go of our attorney's fees claims. We won on summary judgment, but we have a pending appeal. We really believe from a staff perspective that it's best to end this litigation now. We developed a very good working relationship with Ross at this point that I think we'll be able to carry forward positively into the future. And so we're recommending that we do amend the urban renewal plan and the formation resolution to remove that condemnation authority for a couple of reasons. One is resolving this litigation, but also a recognition that for us to be in a position to use that again financially with the coronavirus and COVID-19 crisis going on right now and the reduction in revenues, it's probably not something we're going to be able to pick up and do in the immediate future. When we would be ready to do that, we would need to update the blight survey anyway and re-adopt that and re-up that. So at that time, if we felt like it was really necessary to take condemnation action as a URA, literally it would be the same thing we're doing right now to reinsert it back into the plan and then be able to move forward. So it's relatively straightforward for us administratively. I did just send, Charlie and I had been discussing one of the provisions of the plan in section 3.0, the language that had been proposed to be altered. He wanted to see something a little bit different, which I just sent out to everybody. I don't know, hopefully you got that. Our suggestion would be is to go with the Charlie language in the plan that is attached to this particular resolution. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but we'd recommend passage of resolution 2020-09.
Shelley, question.
I just had a quick question for Carl. Carl, so we've continued this for, I think, over a month now.
Mm-hmm.
Has the language or the
no, it's all the
intent
same.
of it changed? Okay.
No, the only thing that's changed is just literally what I just sent you as
Just that language.
For that the way we removed that language.
Okay.
Everything else is the same. The other thing I failed to mention is that we are up against a deadline of like June 1st, I think, when we have to move forward with the litigation or not. That was the length of extension that we got from the court. So we need to do one or the other at this point.
Okay, thanks.
Rick Voorhees.
Yeah, it sounds, Carl, like we'll keep this sort of alive for a while until such time that perhaps there's another party that comes along.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the continued existence of the URA, keeping in mind that the formation of the URA, this is only one plan area. And it's entirely possible we could develop another plan area and that URA has been created and is viable, which is important. And I think any redevelopment of the mall, this is an important redevelopment tool for us to have. And it's not about the condemnation authority, it's about all the other things that the URA can do and help with. And so that's why I think it's important to keep it in place.
And as I recall from some of our discussion about 18 months ago, that when we put the plan together, that the act of condemnation is actually very rare in a URA. So.
Yeah, and it's not something that I would use that gets used that frequently or that lightly. But the other aspects of the URA, including tax increment financing and some of the other redevelopment tools it brings to the table to help with the redevelopment are really positive. And part of my education process with Ross is that there really are good municipal jurisdictions that use these things, not just bad ones.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Hershey.
I just wanted to inform everyone, I had to finish up a motions hearing with Judge Metzger just now. So I missed just the very initial part about Frank Woods. Would Carl Hanlon just briefly refresh me? I am so sorry. I had to listen and we had to reschedule it. I'm sorry, Carl. We had to reschedule this for tomorrow on Monday and they needed me because we have a DA leaving. I'm so sorry.
No problem at all. Let me give you the really quick rundown. It was just that the original the original settlement agreement and these resolutions had been tied to the thought that Centerpoint Development was going to be purchasing the mall and redeveloping. They're no longer in the picture, but just given where we're at, kind of in the bigger picture with the city and the COVID-19, in trying to wrap up this litigation. I still think it's a good idea to make these amendments because frankly, putting them back in place is not that difficult. And I don't see the value in pursuing, we're the defendant, but I don't see the value in expending the resources on the appeal at this point in time if we don't have to.
Thank you, Carl. Again, I apologize.
No worries. Thank you.
Paula.
Carl, is this, I don't want to say guaranteed, but if we move forward in this direction, Ross is definitely going to pull out of this lawsuit, or?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a companion settlement agreement that will have some minor modifications to it. And we set those settlement agreements up so that the URA chair, which is Councilor Voorhees, and the mayor can make those minor modifications to implement that settlement agreement. So Ross is, all of these things go together. So the answer is yes, they're definitely, and they want to be done with the litigation as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, this is a resolution.
It is a public hearing, so you do need to open it up.
So any comments from the public? Again, if you are calling in, I see one person's calling in. *9 is the number to raise your hand. All right, seeing no public comment, I will bring it back for motion and or further discussion. Shelley.
Carl, can we approve both of these together, or do we need to do
They're
them
actually
separately?
two. We need to open it to the public separately. I'd like to have that clean on the record.
Okay, so I will make a motion that we approve resolution 2020-9, a resolution of the City of Glenwood Springs amending resolution 2018-61 and approving the amended West Glenwood Springs Urban Renewal Plan.
And if I could, with the Charlie updated language.
With the revisions as proposed by Councilor Willman.
Second.
It's been moved by Shelley, seconded by Rick. Further discussion? All right, Catherine, can you take a roll call vote?
Davis,
Yes.
Step,
Yes.
Hershey,
No.
Godus,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Willman,
Yes.
Kaup.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right.
Okay, thanks. Carl, you want to tell us about the next resolution, 2020?
Absolutely. Let me get back to the right agenda items so that I have the right one. So this is really, this is resolution 2020-10. It's really just amending the formation language in the original formation resolution, making kind of that same notation in there that the approval does not include condemnation authority. That's really it.
Any questions?
Just a quick question. I forgot to raise my hand, but I forgot to look. Is that similar language that we talked about earlier today? Is that adhered to?
No, it's not. Literally, this one is just a one-page resolution, or maybe pages. Just section 2 was revised to say, pursuant to the resolution 2020-9, the amended plan, the City Council hereby finds and declares the GURA's rights and powers shall not currently include the authority to exercise eminent domain.
Okay, thanks. I read it last week, but I forgot to read it today. Thanks.
No worries.
Any other questions? All right, see none, we'll open it to public comment. Anybody from the public? Again, if you called in, *9. Okay, see no public comment, I'll bring it back for a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve, resolution 2020-10, a resolution of the City Council, the City of Glenwood Springs, amending resolution 28-60 relating to the creation of the Glenwood Springs Urban Renewal Authority.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Rick, seconded by Paula. Any further discussion? All right, Catherine. Let's call the
Willman,
vote.
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Hershey,
No.
Depp,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Godus,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Carl.
Yeah.
I think it's still the Carl show. Maybe item number 7, IGA between the city of Glenwood Springs and RAFTA for the purchase of the property and the performance of transportation projects.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the voters on the April 14th, 2020 special election approved the sale of the old MOC site. We have negotiated an IGA and real estate contract with RAFTA. You guys have been engaged in those negotiations. The IGA has not substantively changed in months. The real estate contract is for $1.26 million. There is an addendum that was kind of the subject of some negotiation over a set aside of up to $50,000 to deal with some potential environmental issues out on the site. The IGA also, let me get back to it, lists out a number of other things that RAFTA will do upon successful closing of the contract, including $2,000 towards the Destination 2040 plan, $100,000 to the corridor study, and then of course they're taking care of demolition, which has a value of about $695,000. So all of that is in addition to the 1.26 in the contract. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Seeing none. Well, I guess, hey, let's open up for public comment. Anybody from the public care to comment on this? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for a motion and or further discussion. Paula.
Yes, I'll move to move forward with that IGA between the city of Glenwood Springs and RAFTA for the purchase of the property and the performance of the transportation projects.
A second motion.
Been moved by Paula, seconded by Shelley. Further discussion? All right. Catherine, please call the vote.
Godus,
Yes.
Willman,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Depp,
Yes.
Hershey,
Tony? You have to unmute yourself, bottom left.
Looks like Tony might have got kicked off.
Well, his.
Oh, no. Tony,
There he
you
is.
there?
I know, and if this was a first, I could.
Tony, do you want to approve the sale of MOC? I guess we're abstaining?
Yeah, I would list that as an abstention.
Okay.
Davis,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right. Next item. Ordinance number 8, ordinance 12, series of 2020, an ordinance of the City of Council of the City of Glenwood Springs, Colorado, amending section 040.010S of the Glenwood Springs Municipal Code relating to sales tax collection from online retailers. First reading.
Hi again.
It's
So what you
legal.
have in front of you
Oh.
is an ordinance based on the language contained in the ordinance is based on model language we've been working on at a statewide level for various home rule municipalities regarding the collection of online retailer sales tax. So this will update our code so that it is consistent statewide. The reason we're doing that is because of what's called the Wayfair decision that said we could collect that tax, but it had to be simple enough for an online retailer to be able to understand how to do it and how much to remit and things like that. We already are part of what's called MuniRev, and then there's going to be a state tax collection portals that they can go to identify geographically, hey, it's a Glenwood zip code or address, and this is how much we need to pay in sales tax. So this is first reading on this. Our goal is, you'll see it on second reading in a week. The goal is to have this effective for July 1. So Q3, we would start collecting from these retailers. And part of the reason for that long delay is that Amazon, which is one of the largest ones and has actually been very cooperative through this process, asked that, we start on the beginning of a month. So they don't want to see, us start on the 10th and Silverthorne start on the 13th and that kind of thing. So there's a number of jurisdictions that are kind of in this beta group, if you will, to first implement this. We're very fortunate that I got sucked into that CML group. And so a number of the West Slope entities up and down the I-70 corridor that our firm represents are part of that initial group that are going to be trying this out. So with that, Steve can answer questions. I don't have the right screen up to see if Yvette is on. Steve or Yvette can answer questions on anything as far as sales tax collections go, and I will do my best to answer questions related to the ordinance itself as far as language goes. But I will tell you, this is, like I said, been hashed out for a while between finance directors and attorneys. Scintillating conversations, by the way. We do expect one more revision to this. It'll have minor tweaks, but not substantively.
Well, it looks like since it's already been hashed out, we probably don't need to ask you questions, but still, Rick, Shelley, and Steve want to ask you questions. So, Dr. Voorhees.
Well, I have more of a question for Steve Boyd, I guess. I'm just kind of curious that, I've been paying the Amazon sales tax on certain items for, it seems like a couple of years. And does that mean this money's been accumulating somewhere and Glenwood Springs will somehow enjoy a windfall? Or maybe you could talk, Steve, if you don't mind, just a little bit about the mechanics here, about how we get the money and what we anticipate.
Yeah, nice try, Counselor. We would have a windfall that would come from this. I really don't see that happening. I mean, I think this is going to take some time for us to kind of work into. Carl's right. Amazon really has been pretty good to work with through this, as have a number of other bigger retailers. I think that we have taken all the steps that we need to take to make it as easy as possible for these guys to collect and remit and be part of our community. There is a safe harbor in here, so smaller retailers aren't going to be required. I mean, we just won't have the legs behind us to, go out and enforce that. And, the other issue that we're going to run into is that it's very difficult for us to know who exactly has sent stuff into our community.
Right.
So it's, we've worked with the Financial Advisory Board and, constituents and you guys as well. Let me know when you see invoices that you get from people where you order online. Let me know. And if you're not paying 8.6% sales tax, we can contact them and let them know that we're here and this is how you get registered with us. And, we're happy to have them be part of the community. But yeah, unfortunately, this is not going to be a big windfall anytime soon for us. It's going to take some time to work into this.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Shelley.
Steve, most of my questions were similar to Dr. Voorhees, but I had one more. I thought that we had done something similar a little over a year ago, or you had been working on this, and it seemed that our online sales tax collection was kind of growing. So is this, I guess, what's the difference now? And
well, there's really no difference. This is all part of one bigger movement. So the first thing that we did a year ago, and I think, Shelley, what you're recalling was that we complied with all other home rule self-collecting municipalities in Colorado to define in the same way all of our sales tax definitions. And that was kind of a big project. The big pushback on this from retailers has been that, look, it's too hard. You guys all have different definitions. You all tax things differently. We can't possibly know who's going to tax what and where. So the movement has been to, okay, let's simplify, right? Let's get one definition of all these tax terms. Let's let them, collect and remit to one place. And so for the last couple of years, what we've been seeing is, kind of a movement in that direction. And, honestly, I have to say that I really hand it to CML and to the Department of Revenue of the state of Colorado. They've done a really good job in getting this together and going out to bid and finding a single source of a single source provider that can, collect and disperse all these sales tax. So I really do think that we're making headway. I think this is good news for us. I just think this is, one step along, a long ladder upward. And you're right, we have had sales tax from online remote retailers increase. I think we'll continue to have that increase happening. It'll be the fastest growing part of our sales tax base for some time, I would say.
Right.
So
Okay.
I think we're on a good track.
Okay, thanks.
Steve Davis.
There you go. This actually formalizes the collection of that tax, but the reality, Steve Boyd, is we have been collecting some of this tax along the way, have we not?
We have, if the taxpayer has been willing to voluntarily get registered and get a license with the city of Glenwood Springs and then collect and remit those taxes. Anybody that has just said, yeah, you wouldn't really want to do that, there's really not much that we could do about it other than invite them nicely to be part of our community. So some have complied, many haven't.
Well, I certainly know that I have been paying tax to some retailers based on my zip code, whatever that zip code is that you put in for your shipping address, and then they nail you with a tax. I assume that we get that trickled down to us some way.
Yeah, no, I think we do. I mean, Amazon, we're not supposed to really disclose how much individual taxpayers pay us, but Amazon pays a substantial tax at this point, and it's kind of been going up over time. If everybody looks at their Amazon receipts, you have to kind of dig down into it to the line items where it shows how much tax is withheld. But what you'll probably find is that it seems a little bit random. Sometimes they'll have 2.9% collected, sometimes 3.7, sometimes 8.6, sometimes it's just kind of some random number. So I think everybody's all trying to work this out. And I think everybody, as far as I know, for the most part, has been in good faith. But what you're saying is correct. When they collect that sales tax, we should be receiving it. And indeed, our sales tax receipts in online remote retail have been increasing.
Good, thank you.
Thanks for your, I was just going to say thanks to Carl and Steve for all your work on this.
Oh, I had a question.
Yeah, just for clarification, when you said small retailers, was that $100,000 annually that was noted in there?
Exactly right.
Thanks.
All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll open this to public comment. Anybody from the public to speak on sales tax collection stuff? Okay, seeing none, I'll turn it back for Charlie to make a motion.
I would move to approve ordinance number 12, series of 2020, ordinance of the City Council of City of Glenwood Springs, Colorado, amending section 040, 010, 010 of the Glenwood Springs Municipal Code related to sales tax collection from online realtors.
Second the motion.
And can I just add a comment? I'd like to comment too. I started working with Steve when I was in the FAB several years ago on this. And I know he was working real hard, and I didn't realize Carl was part of that group. But I know, I think we passed an ordinance a while ago, changing some of the wording in our what's in our actual sales tax collection to do all this. So I'm hopeful this is going to help get rid of that the brick and mortar disadvantage by collecting sales tax from Amazon, so people don't go there to buy and avoid sales tax. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion by Charlie, second by Shelley. Catherine, could you do roll call?
Depp,
Yes.
Hershey,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Godus,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Willman,
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. Item number 9, resolution 2020-21, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Glenwood Springs, Colorado, authorizing the exercise of eminent domain powers to acquire property interests necessary to facilitate the reconstruction of South Midland Avenue.
I have a conflict of interest on this.
Okay.
I'm gonna not go off, but I'm gonna mute.
Yep, we got that. So I'm hoping we hear from Carl again, because I'm kind of getting used to you.
Yeah, let's say, so what you have in front of you, Council, is a resolution authorizing the use of eminent domain. That does not mean we're going to exercise or actually use that eminent domain, but as we close in on finalizing right-of-way for the South Midland project, we're getting down to the wire on this. There are a variety of places where it may become necessary. One is where the ownership is unclear. And we're having a hard time contacting who we should be. It gives us the ability to move forward with what's called immediate possession so that we can get right-of-way clearance and begin working on that project. There are 2 or 3 other properties that it may come up. I don't think it will. I've been contacted today by a couple of those. So I think we'll be able to get those resolved relatively soon. So what you have attached to that resolution and authorization is the full map of all of the property acquisitions that may be necessary. Some of those have been finalized, but we felt it most efficient to just include all of the potential acquisitions in there so that we could keep cranking along on this. Again, it does not mean we're filing any condemnation actions today. It merely authorizes us to do so if we need to keep this project moving forward. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Shelley.
Carl, I just wanted to clarify for the public again, because this is, difficult for the city to ever have to use condemnation, I think, on a property, but on a project like this, as I studied the map and everything, and from conversations with staff, can you just clarify that for the most part, these are small pieces of a property or strips along the right-of-way of South Midland? We're not affecting anyone's homes.
Right, exactly. None of these are taking anybody's home or even significant portions of property relative to the whole parcels. They're primarily cleaning up the right of way. In some instances, moving facilities that have been on neighboring properties into the right of way so that it's clear that's our responsibility. Some of them, frankly, are just temporary easements for
working
to occur that would be restored and replaced, underneath what's called the Uniform Act that governs when we do these projects with federal funds, because obviously this is funded in part by the build grant that we got. It has very specific provisions about how you determine valuation, the rights of the property owner as you're moving through this right-of-way acquisition process and temporary easement process. So, like I said, I think it would be remarkable if we did have to do any actual immediate possession hearings. I don't really think that's going to happen, but there is a concern about making sure we have that available and ready to go, because the window's starting to close on when we need to get right-of-way clearance so that we can move forward with bidding the project, which is obviously important to reconstruct that road, and also I think at this point in time important economic development project, frankly, in our community. So.
Right. Great. Thanks.
Thanks, Shelley. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll turn it over to the public comment. Anybody from the public like to speak on this issue? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back for a motion and or further discussion, excuse me. There we go, Shelley.
I would like to make a motion that we approve resolution 2020-21, authorizing the exercise of eminent domain powers to acquire property interests necessary to facilitate the reconstruction of South Midland Avenue.
Second.
Moved by Shelley, seconded by Rick. Further discussion? Hearing none. Catherine, let's call the vote.
Davis,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Hershey,
Yes.
Willman.
He had to abstain.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that. Voorhees,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Godus,
Yes.
motion passes.
Right.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Item
Okay,
number 10, G4 Grant Review Committee.
my
And
one
it's
and
not
only item.
me.
Yes.
Someone tell Charlie, Deborah, that we're back.
He's back.
He's there.
You guys approved money going to the G4 grant last week. We are asking that a member of council, that the mayor appoint a member of council to that review committee. This way you guys have a liaison to it that helps make fair and equitable decisions about how those grant funds are distributed.
All right. I will open the floor up to nominations. I know Councillor Wilhelm, excuse me.
One of those names.
Oh yeah, one of those names has expressed an Willman, excuse me. Golly, the new kid has expressed an interest in serving in this role. So with that, Paula.
Well, I was going to nominate Charlie Willman as a council representative, but you've already kind of put that forward, so.
I'll second the nomination.
Okay, it's been moved by Paula, seconded by Shelley. Anybody else like to put their name in the hat to serve in this role? I'm going to pause awkwardly for a very long time. No. Okay. All right. I think we take a voice vote. All in favor of Charlie being the appointee, the council designated liaison for the G4 Grant Review Committee, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
All right. Motion carries 6-1. Item number 11, COVID-19 updates.
I don't have a specific update. I think we just had this on here in case you guys had any concerns or just wanted to talk about it, like we said we would for our special meetings.
Paula.
It's okay.
I just wanted to get a sense, maybe as a group, Deborah, on what the county was doing, trying to move forward with its waiver, and then kind of where are we in a standstill because of the shooters opening earlier, and does that affect our restaurants in town because of the county's, I mean, where does that put the county's request for a waiver? I'm trying to get a sense of that and where it leads our other businesses right now.
There is a BOCC meeting tomorrow at 2 to discuss the waiver again. I don't know what will be discussed at that time, but we will. I'm going to encourage you guys to listen into that. I think nothing has changed for our restaurants. We're still following state law.
Right. Okay.
Deborah, I'm sorry, that was what means it two for, who's involved?
Garfield County is holding an emergency meeting about their variants tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments, questions? I guess I will say, you know, I've been kind of encouraged by all the other municipalities, or most of the municipalities in the Valley, coming on board and having kind of a united front with the face coverings that Dr. Voorhees started about a month ago. So I want to thank him for his leadership in this. There's also a lot more science that is coming out about these face coverings and about how it's protecting people, and how the rates of transmission are significantly lower in countries and areas that are having this. So, you know, I think we made that decision without clear and definitive science, but it's looking like science is possibly proving us right. So thank you. I just want to thank Rick for that leadership on that. Rick, would you like to speak about that or anything else?
Well, yeah, I just know that by next week, we'll know a little bit more, I think, about the county's application to the state and how that might affect businesses and everybody actually in Glenwood Springs. And so we will want to, I think, follow that fairly closely. And just as we're thinking about the health of our citizens here, I think that it would be good if every counselor could kind of think about what sort of metrics are out there. And I don't have any to offer tonight. Again, it's a very much a moving target, but once the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's going to be hard to put the toothpaste back into the tube if we need to. And so I'm just asking us all to be somewhat vigilant about what will transpire and sort of the guideposts that you see that are out there in the event that we need to take some dire action. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rick. Tony.
I'm not Rick, I'm Tony. I'm a doctor too. I have a Esquire. And so I have a JD, a Juris Doctor. So like, I would like to be, if he's going to be referred to as doctor, I want to be referred to as doctor as well.
How about junior doctor?
Okay. Or just councilman, since we're at a council meeting. I support what the county commissioners here are doing. I support what, again, what the county commissioners did in Mesa and Eagle County. I do not want to have any more regulations. I would make a motion right now to end this face mask thing because we go beyond the governor's order and right now, but I don't think I would get a second. I just don't want to have any more confusing restrictions in Glenwood that Salt or Carbondale don't have, or any restrictions that we have that the state of Colorado doesn't have. I think the county is probably going to be a little late to the dance with their exemption, unlike other counties like Rio Blanco and Mesa, and Eagle, of course. But I think the timing may be a little bit different. But I imagine by early June, the governor is going to be listing more restrictions. That being said, I would also propose that we quickly address the issue of the city manager's special powers. I think these need to expire. This isn't about our city manager, who's done a fantastic job. I just think there's resentment a little bit out there by the citizenry. And I don't want to sound like Rand Paul, but we have someone who's not elected, and we need to make the tough choices. And I think these policies, as strict as they are, need to be through the people's elected voice, not through one person. It seems just a little, during the emergency, it was fine. And I think it was Steve Davis who said at the very beginning of this, and I agreed with him, you know, we had these scary predictions of thousands of deaths and we'd have to get trailers for morgues. What happened in New York City happening here. We were very fortunate that that didn't happen. I'm praying that it doesn't happen in the future. If it does happen in the future, we're going to have to maybe be back in the same boat. But for now, if you look over the western slope of Colorado, particularly, and not so much the Front Range, but here, I think we are prepared to move forward. And I don't think we need anything more than what the governor's doing. And we don't need the city manager having to make any special orders at the last minute anymore. And if we don't address that tonight, I would propose that we address that at the next regular meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Okay, Tony's made a suggestion that we strip Deborah of her emergency authorities either tonight or at the next meeting. Do I have a second on that? All right, motion fails for lack of second. All right, next item on the agenda is the executive session. So I think we are going to log out of this meeting. Is this correct? And we will be sent a additional link for the executive session.
Yeah, you will need to make the motion to go into executive session in this meeting. And I would ask that that motion also include that the regular meeting be terminated on the conclusion of the exec session. So nobody has to worry about us coming back into open session and taking some action.
Can I say one quick thing about that, Carl and Mr. Mayor?
About going into executive session?
Yeah, just in general about like that. And if you look at the list of participants and attendees right now, you know, you see some public. So just so that they're clear, when you come back, when we leave, we're not coming back. They shouldn't
Right,
wait.
exactly. Thank you, Tony. That's what I was trying to say.
Sorry. So I like, you see Christian Henry, for example. I don't know why you always see his name. It's weird. But the people from the Hanging Lake Inn, Matthew Bennett, a reporter, other people on there, Vet's with us. But other people, just so they're clear, Mr. Mayor, is all I'm saying. Thank you.
Yes, you are, when we take this motion and move out of this session, we will see you next Thursday. I hope.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we need to open up business.
Do we have, I don't have the language in front of me. Does anybody else have language to go into the executive session?
I, Charlie Wilman, move to go to executive session to conduct a conference with the city manager and city attorney for the purpose of discussing the city's purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, sale of real property, determining positions relative to matters related, relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators, and to conduct a conference with the city attorney to receive legal advice in accordance with CRS 24-6-402, paren 4 paren small a paren small b and paren small e related to 27th Street. And at the conclusion of that executive session, that the meeting, public meeting for tonight be adjourned.
I second the motion.
Okay, I don't have my script handy.
I don't think you need to, I can walk you through it when we get into exec session.
Okay, thanks. All right. With that, we'll adjourn out of regular session.
Vote, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I had a question. I think I just deleted an email. Is there a new one coming from Catherine or from Deborah?
I think it'll come from City of Glenwood Springs.
From Alyssa.
Okay. Thank you. I'll hang up then.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll adjourn out of this session and we'll look for that email from someone with the executive session. Thank you.